Thank you so much, Dr. Kalaselvi Vairavel, for accepting to host this webinar at such short notice. On behalf of Sanitation First, it's a pleasure to have you. Sanitation First is an NGO that is headquartered in the UK. We've been working in India from 2009 in the areas of water, sanitation, and hygiene primarily. But in all the three verticals that I just mentioned, health becomes a very integral component that's interwoven into these themes. So we focus a lot on women's health, particularly after we started focusing on menstrual health and menstrual disorders. The area of women's health became even more important and significant in our work, which is why in this month of October, where we are commemorating so many health related days that are important for women, like October is the breast cancer awareness month. It also has World Menopause Day, which is being commemorated today. Last week, there was World Arthritis Day. Prior to that, there was Mental Health Day. So many aspects of health that affect women are being conducted and commemorated in the month of October, which is why we thought we could have the series of talks about topics which would be very interesting, not just for the women, but also for the men who are part and parcel of their lives and who need to understand to be supportive and facilitative for the women. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you, Dr. Kalaselvi, to the participants today. Dr. Kalaselvi Vairavel is a senior consultant diabetologist practicing in Chennai. She manages gestational diabetes, cardiorenal diabetes, diabetic foot, PCOS, systemic hypertension, and related issues. Dr. Kalaselvi gives main attention to prevention of diabetes and management of cardiometabolic syndrome through nutrition and physical activities. Once again, welcome on the show, Doctor. And without much further ado, I will go with the first question. Since it is World Menopause Day today, can you tell us what is menopause in layman's terms?
Yeah, before going into, I think you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Doctor.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Before going into the topic, let me thank you, Padma Priya Bhaskaran, a blogger, researcher, historian, and founder of Alayam Content Trust, and CEO of Sanitation First India. So I should thank you and the Sanitation First India for the chance you gave to me to give a speech like this, and regarding menopause. Before going into what is menopause, we should know about the hormones initially. Like what are the hormones that take part in menopause? Main hormones we can take it as estrogen and progesterone, also in small amount testosterone. So these hormones are the prime factors involving in female. Then what is the normal menstrual period cycle? There are two phases of menstrual cycle. Earlier in the secretory phase, that is, initial thing is shedding of bleeding, like
hello,
when the
Dr. Kalaselvi, you're breaking up.
Menstruation starts. From that, estrogen increases and FSH increases. And can you hear me?
Yeah. Your bandwidth is a little low. Yes, we can hear you. Please continue.
Yeah, shall regarding the menstrual cycle, it starts with the shedding of that is bleeding. So the FSH and estrogen increases slowly till the 14th day in a normal 28-day cycle. It may it may alter from 10 to 14 days or 20 days also. In that there is a sharp down low. There is a decrease in estrogen. In that LH increases. That is the time of ovulation. Ovulation period. After that there is release of ovum from the follicle. Then the corpus luteum is formed. From that, progesterone and estrogen are released. If you are becoming pregnant, the same system will continue. Like there will be progesterone and estrogen, which will help for the implantation of the fertilized ovum in the uterus, and pregnancy to continue. It will help the pregnancy to continue and the fetal maturation. But if there is no pregnancy, the corpus luteum will get destroyed and there will be a fall. It's a cycle. So cycle of increase in progesterone, estrogen, and then the fall like that. It is a cycle. This is a normal menstrual period. So what happens in menopause? See, it's an aging. It's an aging, like any other aging process. Even the ovary gets aged, so the cells gets destroyed. The follicles in the ovary slowly gets size and the function deteriorates. So it's an aging process. When do we call this as menopause? Like then it is called 1 year. 12 months, then it is called menopause. So it can be a natural menopause, or it can be surgically or induced by medicines or something like that. So we now are talking about the natural menopause first. So you can ask me, what happens when there is menopause? There is premenopausal stage, menopausal stage, and postmenopausal stage. What is premenopausal? It's not a single day process. It takes some 6 to 10 years for the menopause to set in. So for that, the process goes on for many years. So it is not a single day process. So during that period, slowly the estrogen and progesterone level comes down. So because of that, the effect of the function of the estrogen has come down. See, then we'll ask, what is the function of the estrogen? Estrogen is the main thing to maintain the lining of the reproductive system. That is the prime hormone to maintain the reproductive system for the development, growth, lining of the reproductive system, as well as it helps in the functions, I mean, pelvic muscle strengthening, and then in the bone development for the calcium development, I mean, calcium metabolism, and then for the cholesterol metabolism also it helps. And it has many effects on the skin, those effects also it is there. Okay, so for the pregnancy, for the implantation, and then for the fetal maturation, everything estrogen is needed. So if there is reduction in the estrogen, then the whole body metabolism changes. So whatever mechanism is estrogen is involved, there is a disarray. So that is the main reason there is a lot of chaos in the female body. So that is it. So what all happens when there is, what are the symptoms when, like what happens when there is menopause? Slowly, even during premenopausal stage, you may patients, I mean, female may get some hot flashes, like vaginal dryness, sleep disturbances, mood disturbances, all those things may be there even during the premenopausal stage. So when there is menopause, these symptoms increase. This I'm talking about in menopause in females who are not having any other comorbid conditions. Even in a normal person, when the female is getting menopause, these symptoms will be there. The severity may or may not be, I mean, more, but for each and every female, it differs. But anyway, these symptoms may be present, which may be suffering, I mean, which may be affecting the female physical and mental day-to-day life. And there may be mood swings, dry skin, then hot flushes. Main thing is hot flushes. You can, as if some hot heat is going inside the body. Suddenly you will feel, even at night or day, suddenly you'll feel something hot is going inside for 2 to 3 minutes. So this is what happens. So what are the triggering factors? You want to ask something?
No. Your voice.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Please continue.
Yeah. What are the triggering factors? Alcohol, smoking, sometimes stress. Yeah, all these stress and physical activities may, strenuous activities may trigger the vasomotor symptoms. This flushing, hot flushes and night sweats and those things are called vasomotor symptoms in menopause. Okay. So this, I'm talking about menopause in the normal, non-comorbid, I mean, without any comorbid conditions. So how will we manage? So for a normal menopausal this thing, by diverting yoga exercises, hydrating, and diet alterations, and we can share it with our relatives, and we can divert our mind in music, whatever our hobbies are. We can divert. We can talk to our neighbors, friends. We can go out, something like that. So we can divert. If it is not controlled, if it is very severe only, we'll go for hormonal treatment. So that is exceptional, but we have to be very careful in having a hormonal treatment. Just like that, we cannot give. So these are factors for menopause in women with no comorbid condition. Okay. So next question.
Yeah.
Anything I missed?
Much. No. I think you gave a very good overview of what menopause is under normal conditions. I think it's important that you stressed on the fact that these are normal conditions. And you also mentioned that some women might need, some women might need surgical support or medicinal support to kind of induce this. But since we are talking about general health, general women's health, I think the explanation that you gave under normal conditions will apply to most women. For the participants, in case you have any questions, kindly type them into the chat box as Dr. Kalachelvi is speaking. And at the end of the session, we can take your questions based on the availability of time. So doctor, since you are a diabetologist, I thought I can ask the next question about diabetes and menopause. So can the presence of diabetes in a woman hasten menopause, or can menopause increase chances of diabetes among women? So what is the interrelation between diabetes and menopause?
Yeah, there are so many studies in India and abroad regarding this, either diabetes hasten the menopause. There are studies on different categories, like for type 1 and type 2 too. But there are controversial results also. Like one study has given, like in type 1 diabetics, it hastens the menopause. And that too, late menarche and early menopause. So their reproductive period itself is shortened. So one study says that, and one study says those who have diabetes earlier, like in younger age group, the menopause is hastened, and not when they have diabetes in the later age group. But nothing is confirmed. So studies are going on, I think. So nothing is confirmed. There is no definite diabetes type 1 or type 2 hastens diabetes. Same way, whether menopause gives rise to, increases the risk for the diabetes. That is also a controversial issue. They have studied only retrospectively, like post-menopausal, if when they are on hormonal treatment, there is lower fasting blood sugar and there is better HbA1c. So they think maybe this also, I mean, loss of estrogen increases the risk for diabetes mellitus, but there is no definitive definite proof, because in the postmenopausal stage, mostly they are obese. So just because of the higher BMI, they are getting diabetes, and because of the aging, stress, and other things, or just the diabetes alone as a risk factor, it's not clearly known. So I think studies are going on.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. I think that will be quite reassuring for a lot of women. I mean, you mentioned about, stress and, of course, consumption of alcohol and smoking and all that, which has become part and parcel of several women's corporate lives these days. I mean, they work long hours and then they have to travel quite a bit and all that. So what would you suggest, since you also have done a lot of work on prevention of diabetes, what would you suggest as safeguards that women can take to prevent diabetes when they have this high stress, multitasking lifestyle, so to speak?
Yeah, multitasking women, mainly there is a lot of stress. So when there is stress and there's a lot of fatigue, mental, mood swings are there. They'll get easily fatigued, and then they won't be getting the nutrition enough. So they may not find right time, time to do the routine exercises. So there's a lot of stress. Stress always induces counter-regulatory hormones like steroids and other things. See, they are called counter-regulatory hormones, which are opposite to the insulin, and which helps. I mean, they are against diabetes. Like, it increases the blood sugar. It increases the insulin resistance. So they are very prone for diabetes. So that's why they should be very careful in maintaining their health. See, in those women, they should prioritize what is important for their life. So if there is no good health or mental health, so what is the need? I mean, how do you enjoy the fruit after doing all those multitasking? Right. So you should take care of the health first. So the same way, like any other diabetics. So you can share your work. Like, you need not do everything. There is a limit for what you can do in a day. So you can share your work, as well as you can share your difficulties and everything to your neighbor or relatives. You can get good music. You can do the exercises. You can allot a particular time to do the exercise. You can just go for a 15 minutes walk, go around the block, or you can do it at home also. When you are cooking, you can dance and hear music. And when you are doing multitasking, this is also easy. So you can dance, hear music, and do the cooking also. So you can prioritize your needs, and then you can reduce your stress instead of going for multitasking. So you can say no when there is needed. So you need not accept everything and be stressful. So we can reduce the stress.
So the answer is learning to say no.
Yes, learning to say no.
Thank you, Doctor. Now, we spoke about interrelation between diabetes and about menopause, but otherwise, since you also work a lot with PCOS, I mean, do you think diabetes and menstrual disorders are possibly interconnected, or would you like to give the same response as menopause, that the connection is yet to be proven?
Yeah, when you are talking about menopause, we are talking about the older age group. But
Yes.
when it comes to the PCOS, it is about the younger age group. So menstrual, they say menstrual irregularities are very common. As I was mentioning earlier, that their reproductive years itself is shortened, like late menarche and early menopause. The studies are not very clear in that type 1. In type 2, irregular periods is very common in PCOS. So almost 1 in 5 women are having PCOS. So one of the main symptoms in PCOS is irregular periods, all because of androgenic domination. So why PCOS, the main causative factor for PCOS, it's not understood fully. Maybe some genetic, maybe from familial, we don't know. But anyway, there is androgenic dominance and there is insulin resistance. So there is less of, like menopause itself, there is less of estrogen and complete hormonal disarray. So that's why irregular periods. So this may lead to diabetes mellitus and infertility. So even some cancers at the later stage. So every woman at the younger age group, the irregular period should be investigated. So that's very important.
So do you think there's any way that someone can prevent PCOS, considering that, as you said, 1 in 5 women today are getting PCOS? Is there any ways that people can prevent this from happening?
Yeah, to prevent it, we should know the causative factor. So still the causative factor is not clear. So not only the obese people, even thin individuals are getting PCOS. So not that only obese persons will get that. So every irregular person with irregular period should be investigated for PCOS. That's what I'm telling you. So we cannot treat or completely cure PCOS, but we can manage it. So when you are, investigate and find out if they are having PCOS, we can manage it well, so that even pregnancy and other factors are not at all affected. So maybe they'll be put on some oral contraceptives or earlier itself, or some insulin resistance, against insulin resistance, some diabetic, so-called diabetic medicine, metformin, and physical exercise and diet can modify that PCOS. Thing is, those who are having irregular periods may not go for the testing unless they are going in for pregnancy. That's the main problem.
That was the question that I had in mind as you were speaking, because traditionally in India, people don't like to visit a doctor till such time things become critical. So on...
But the general appearance usually gives way to find out from the general appearance, usually, not always, but usually, like because of the androgen excess, you will have excess hairs in the face and other things. You will have black discoloration in the neck. It's called axilla. That's called acanthosis. So it's a precursor. It's one of the indicator for diabetes mellitus. So from the distance, you usually there'll be little obese side, not always. Even the thin individuals will have a PCOS. So the normal hormonal balance is just altered. So because of the androgen excess, you may not be getting normal periods as well as the pregnancy. You may need intervention.
Well, thank you so much, Doctor. I think you have answered most of the frequently asked questions in the minds of people here. I'm conscious we only have about 3 minutes time left. So, Nisha, are there any questions from the participants that they would like to ask, considering the time limit left. Nisha, are you there?
Hello. Priya, there is nothing on the chat box, but if
Okay.
they are willing to ask questions, they can unmute and ask
Sure.
the doctor, and she can probably answer those questions.
Okay, so in case there are any burning questions, I mean, we deliberately wanted to keep these sessions short to keep the engagement higher. So in case anyone has a question, please do ask. Else, thank you so much for participating, and it was a pleasure having you on the show this evening, Dr. Kalai. If we get any questions,
thank you,
Nisha,
thank
maybe
you much.
you might type out your email address. So if anyone has questions, they can even mail us and we can get the response from Dr. Kalai. Thank you so much on this World Menopause Day. It was a pleasure chatting with you. And thank you to the participants. I know it's a working day and joining on a webinar at 7 p.m. is not easy. Thank you for making the time. We will be sharing the recording with the larger audience very soon. And we hope to be back with more webinars. Please do join in and encourage and support us. And thank you so much, Dr. Kalai, once again, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye,
so
and
much.
thanks,
Yeah.
Nisha. Thanks for coordinating.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.